Hey guys, it's Captain Forest here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over who I think wins more often than not in an inverse situation: the Marquis of Death versus Thechaosking. Now, shoutouts to one of my subscribers. He requested and purchased this matchup. I'm going to go ahead and give my interpretation on who I think wins more often than not. Before I start, please, if you guys enjoy my content, please subscribe, leave a like, and give me your thoughts down in the comment section. Also, shouts to the Coffee Shop Gang, they make awesome content. Their links will be in the description. Also, shouts to HQ Squad, shouts to Korin, he was a massive help in this video. Huge shout out to your boy Korin, and shouts to everyone else in the HQ Squad. Again, I do apologize, I am still unwell, but again, I must push on to give you guys good content. Alright, let's start off with Clyde Wickham Jr. The past history of Clyde mirrored that of his Earth 1219 counterpart up until one day, without any warning, Area 87 came under attack from several of Reed Richards' greatest enemies, all of whom sought to kill Clyde. In their arrogance, Clyde was freed from his mind, fully restored. But with a thought, Clyde killed all of the villains around him, and by doing so, his appetite for slaughter awakened. Dedicating 1 billion years of his immortal life to learning how to master both time and space, Clyde eventually became the Marquis of Death. As the Marquis of Death, he travelled across the multiverse, wiping out every single universe he came into contact with. At one point, the Marquis of Death arrived on Earth 616 and met with a young man named Victor Von Doom. Seeing potential within Doom, the Marquis of Death took young Victor as his apprentice and taught him everything he knew. After he had finished training Doom, the Marquis of Death departed Earth 1610 to continue his omnicidal sojourn for another 2 decades. Now, how about we move on down the line and talk about what this dude brings to the table in this battle. So for starters, we've seen Clyde mind control a ton of 616 characters. He teleported them to his own universe as well. This included the Devourer of Worlds himself, aka Galactus. As we all know, Galactus possesses telepathic powers that rival, if not completely surpass, that of the All-Father himself, aka Odin. Keep in mind, this was before the Marquis of Death mastered his powers. He was just a brain-damaged man in a clinic. The Marquis of Death has showcased summoning tactics. How? The dude summoned thousands of Fantastic Fours from alternate timelines. Last but surely not least, we've seen a past version of Clyde battle the Marquis of Death, his future self, in a war. Both were summoning extremely powerful entities as pawns in their war. Past Clyde was using characters like Thanos, Odin, and Galactus, while the Marquis of Death was using Ego and most notably Eternity. Okay, so that's going to round up the Marquis of Death. It's time to talk about Amatsu Mikaboshi, aka the Chaos King. The entity known as Amatsu Mikaboshi originated as an offshoot of Oblivion, the abstract entity embodying the void that existed before eternity began, an incarnation of the primordial darkness and chaos that existed before eternity. The Chaos King exists as a dark counterpart to Eternity, whose genesis stripped the Chaos King of much of its power and led it to being integrated into the Shinto cosmology as Amatsu Mikaboshi, taking advantage of the chaos left by the fall of Asgard and the Norse pantheon. Mikaboshi planned to extend his influence by capturing Olympus and crushing the Olympian gods. With the Olympians defeated, Mikaboshi hoped to compel all the other pantheons into surrendering. To this end, Mikaboshi laid siege to Olympus, which was very close to succeeding. Ares, still bitter about the treatment he received from the other Olympians, refused to raise a finger to help them. Desperate for his aid and wishing to goad Ares into action, Zeus had Alexander kidnapped and brought to Olympus where he was placed under the care of Achilles and the Myrmidons. While Achilles was away, Mikaboshi's forces managed to destroy the Myrmidons' fortress and steal Alexander away to his own stronghold in the eastern lands. Mikaboshi slowly began to warp Alexander's mind in an attempt to turn him against his father by revealing the brutal history and patricides committed by the Greek gods. Mikaboshi hoped to turn Alex into the new god of war, one that could be used against the Greek gods and more importantly, Ares himself. Finding out his son was in the hands of the Olympus enemies, a furious Ares begrudgingly agreed to join in the fight, but only to rescue his son. During the battle, Zeus was on the brink of death and used his remaining power to break the hold Mikaboshi had over Alexander. Alexander used the grass cutter sword against the Mikaboshi and ended the battle. Mikaboshi was then returned to the Japanese land of the dead defeated. Athena of the Olympian pantheon called a meeting of the pantheons in San Francisco to assemble a team of gods from Earth, known as the God Squad. Mikaboshi was chosen by the pantheons of the East along with Hercules, Snowbird, Tecumotsin, and Atum, the God Eater, to battle and defeat the Scroll Gods. En route to scroll space through the Dream Realm, they battled Nightmare. Mikaboshi was key in winning the battle by being able to make duplicates of himself. Athena had been preparing herself for many years in order to fight the great struggle against the primordial darkness. Mikaboshi, who would soon descend upon the world, telling to Amadeus Cho that Hercules' strength would be useless, but Cho's genius might bring them victory. Later, Hera had a vision of Mikaboshi slaying the Shi'ar gods. Eventually, Mikaboshi relished the slow death of his oldest enemy, Gaia, who herself was the fountainhead of creation and the one who birthed the gods. Now how about we see what the Chaos King brings to the table in this battle against the Marquis of Death? Well, we know the Chaos King was able to conquer all of the underworld and force Death herself to flee. The Chaos King straight up killed Zeus with one attack. He possessed and ultimately corrupted Zeus after killing him, amping the god of sky and lightning in the process. It's worth noting that this same Zeus was able to take down Galactus with one attack. Amadeus Cho confirmed that the Chaos King destroyed 98.76% of the entire multiverse. Oh, and let's not forget that the Chaos King is the entity directly opposite to Eternity. As we know, Eternity is an abstract entity, the conceptual embodiment of everyone and everything, which essentially means the Chaos King himself is conceptless nothingness. So that's going to round up the Chaos King. I'm going to go ahead, give my thoughts and basically explain this fight to see who would win more often than not in an inverse situation. Okay, so going over both these powerful combatants, in terms of like AP and speed, I don't think speed's going to be an issue. They both have irrelevant speed, so I really don't see speed being much of an issue. I do think in terms of AP, they should be in the same tier, so depending on how you scale Marvel, they should easily be around High Altiversal to Boundless, or Boundless comfortably, but I do think that the Chaos King scales higher into the AP department compared to the Marquis of Death. The reasons why the Marquis of Death comes a little bit short in terms of AP compared to the Chaos King is just the Chaos King has better feats, higher AP. Eternity couldn't do anything. He literally admits and says to Hercules that he can't do anything. Plus the Chaos King is literally the opposite of Eternity, and Eternity literally, like, he chickened out. He couldn't do a thing, whilst everyone else was getting ruined in the Chaos War, which is absolutely insane. So right there and there, based off the feats of him like destroying like literally like 98+ % of the multiverse, and other crazy feats, like other gods were literally peeing their pants and getting ruined. Like, there's just no way that the Marquis of Death has AP. I do lean more so with Chaos King. So if it came down to hexes, again, like if the Marquis of Death resorts to his reality warping, trying to bring out his other allies, for example, if he tries to summon Eternity, or different like characters from alternate universes like he did with the Fantastic Four, I don't think that's going to mean much. In fact, I think like that Eternity that Marquis of Death summons, that Eternity is just going to watch. He's not going to even participate. He knows he's screwed. He knows he can't do squat to the Chaos King. And the Chaos King himself would just consume them and eat them, or just use his own hexes to possess them and corrupt them. So in fact, he could just corrupt, mind control, and take possession of the Marquis of Death's own army, and take his own chess pieces and use them against him as his own allies. So that'd be pretty counterintuitive. Plus, I don't really see the Marquis of Death being able to affect the Chaos King with his hexes. The Chaos King is literally like he's literally darkness. He's corruption itself. It's void. I don't think Marquis of Death's mind hacks or mental controls or reality warping will even affect him on that degree. The Chaos King's way too fundamental for the Marquis of Death, which is unfortunate. I just think that it's just going to come down to, like, once the Marquis of Death has exhausted all his powers by summoning all these other characters from different universes, I think the Chaos King is just going to destroy them all, take control of them. He'd even just corrupt the Marquis of Death and claim him for himself and have him fight for him, or he'd just eat everyone. So more often than not, I have to lean a little bit more so with the Chaos King. He's too fundamental, he's too strong, he just has just way more to work with. All of the tactics that Marquis would perform, it's just very counterintuitive. In fact, the Chaos King will just use it against him by claiming them, making him fight for him instead. So more often than not, in my opinion, and based off what I've seen in terms of objective standpoints and scaling, I have to give victory to Chaos King. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoy my content, please leave a like, comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. It's been real.